Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. Less than 2 weeks to go for the future of America, period. And that's no exaggeration. It's actually an understatement, because what will happen across the globe if Trump loses will be a total crushing of any burgeoning movements of freedom in other nations. When Trump won in 2016, it awoke a sense of anti-globalism across the planet. People enslaved to elitist one-world government legislation plucked up the courage to combat it, inspired by a renewed American desire for freedom and patriotism. So, yeah, this one is for all the marbles. And don't think for a moment that the Luciferian Party of Death doesn't know that. They are pulling out every stop they can to sink Trump. But look, we know all that. That's why Antifa mobs attacked a freedom protest in San Francisco last weekend, physically assaulting not only the organizer of the protest, knocking out 2 of his teeth, and also sending 3 San Francisco police officers to the hospital. The people around President Trump have been very concerned over the past few years about the threat of tyranny slowly descending on the world, communism rising.
And I called them liberals or the left. They're really socialists. They're Marxists. This is what we ought to really call it what it is. What they want to do is to force people of faith to violate their canons.
Matt Schlapp is a trusted confidant of President Trump, as well as a devout, faithful Catholic.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you just look at some of this stuff and you're enraged.
You are.
It's like, whoa.
But you don't want to be enraged, because we're supposed to be hopeful. And we're supposed to believe that things are done for a higher purpose. So, but you're constantly, each one of us who has faith is having this turmoil inside us where you want to start throwing bricks.
As a Catholic whose vision is not limited to just the natural world, he brings an uncommon, but actually the only legitimate point of view to this whole scene.
I wouldn't want to be alive any other time. I feel like I have a role to play in that. I believe you have a role to play in that. I believe your viewers know they have a role to play with that. And those folks who are out there like lukewarm water, who now feel the temperature coming up and they want to get on the field and save the country and stand up for truth, maybe this is what it takes.
It's taken a methodical, slow march by the Marxists through the institutions, predominantly education and media, but we have now arrived at the point where they are within a whisker of pulling off making America a socialist nation.
His own pastor, St. Joseph's Church in Delaware, he wants his pastor to pay for abortions.
Right.
And then he wants you to have to provide it for all the workers you have here. You'd have to, pay for their abortion-inducing chemicals, right, in their contraceptive plans. But it won't end there. Kamala Harris got a 0% with the ACU last year. Right. She wasn't right on one single thing. So it's a very radical group that will come in around him.
Schlapp shared with us that he and pretty much every Catholic he knows who understands the larger picture is storming heaven with prayers for the protection of the country from the communist scourge.
Those folks that are on their knees, they're not trying to do everything to hope for Donald Trump to win and these Republicans to win so that we can have the status quo.
Right.
They want to roll some of this back. And we have to. We have to roll it back if we're to keep our country.
It's a key point that too many people, even including Catholics who count themselves as faithful, they've simply been out to lunch on all of this. They are the typical example of what our Lord said when he was talking about people being asleep and the enemy coming in and sowing weeds in the garden. If our Blessed Mother, if Our Lady grants us a reprieve one more time, we must not only pray for that, but promise here and now, right this minute, that we will not be content with that status quo from before. The church's hierarchy is a cesspool of corruption, and too many Catholics have done nothing, even knowing about it. Complacency has morphed into indifference, a greater concern for leisure than fighting, for comfort than fighting for victory. Pope Benedict said to us, "You were not made for comfort, you were made for greatness." The very principle of the church militant, fighting evil in this world, has just been cast aside. If Biden and the commies win, the lazy, indifferent Catholics, the ones who actually go to Mass and believe the faith, those Catholics who did not fight when there was a fight to engage in, they will get everything they deserve. How dare anyone who regards himself as a loyal son of the church or counts himself as faithful have sat by these past years and done nothing or next to nothing? What did you do about the McCarrick revelations, which revealed much more than just a twisted old pervert assaulting hundreds of seminarians? It shed light on the whole corrupt network that allowed him to function for decades. It revealed the liars in miters like Cardinal Wuerl and Cardinal Farrell, who both rushed to do interviews saying they were shocked. They had no idea. Did you organize other Catholics in your parish or your social circles? Did you schedule an appointment with your pastor and or the bishop and say until the full truth is exposed, they're cut off from your funds? Did you organize protests at the chancery? Did you demand a full public release of your bishop's financials? Did you demand to know exactly what the faculty at the seminaries are teaching? Did you look at the required reading list that seminarians have? Did you review the credentials and ideological leanings of the seminary faculty? Did you demand that your bishop denounce the wicked Father James Martin, who reaches Catholics in your diocese via social media? Did you challenge and protest any diocesan conferences where the speakers were anything but orthodox? If this has not become your life's mission to the extent your station in life permits it, then you need to get on your knees and not only pray for America to be spared, but to commit to do everything you can to right this ship moving forward for the rest of your life. These evil politicians, many of whom are Catholic, have made such great strides because of the failures and cooperation with the evil in the hierarchy. Do not pray to spare America if you aren't willing to step up in a period of grace and actually do something with that time that would be given. A true Catholic believes in faith and works. Church Militant's full interview with Matt Schlapp will air as one last push for Catholic voters November 1st, 2 days before the election. It will be a free mic'd up episode titled Catholics for Trump. We need to work like crazy in these last few days, but if we are able to win, then the real hard work begins. As Pope Leo XIII so correctly said, Catholics are born for combat. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.